Good evening. So today we are going to something. This is promises in JavaScript part 3. Okay, if you didn't watch previous videos, please go and watch and do proper practice and then only come back. So in the last video and the last session, okay, we just created a promise and we understand the importance of this then method and catch method, right? Okay, in the first video we understand how to create a promise object, and in the last video we understand what is the importance of then and catch. Now, so if you see in the real time, we are not going to write like this exactly, like we just written a promise object like that. So we need to make it much more um, like realistic way. So if you see the task one, if we call the task one, it will return some results and we need to pass those results to the task two. Like that, task 2 will pass some value to the task 3. So all these tasks are dependent on each other. So let rewrite this code in a beautiful way. Okay, so same thing but much more beautiful way. So here I'm just taking a function. So just do function. Okay, get user details. So we can write a function get user, and if you pass the user id, okay, what is the responsibility of this function? So it will it will send a request to the data server, and server will send a request to the database, and if you give a user id, he should bring that user details. Okay, that is his responsibility. So normally we will call the REST API, but here we are going to use a set time mode to replicate the same thing. So even REST APIs also in real time they will build with the help of promises only. So we are going to use the same promises here. So here if you see just whatever we have learned, just do a copy and paste it, it will work. So but for better understanding, I will rewrite one more time, don't worry. So what we are going to do, this function is going to return a new promise. Okay, new promise. So what is the syntax of promise? It is expecting the the callback function, and this callback function have two argument, that is resolve and reject. Okay, you can give any name a comma b also, but the first argument will work for resolving and this is for reject. So it's better to give a resolve and reject so that it's going to be very easy. So here, so normally we will deal promises especially in asynchronous call. So that means it will take some time to bring the result. So that it's better to go with a set timeout. So whenever before calling the REST API, I'm just giving a message. Okay, fetching user details from server or database. Okay, normally we will send a request to the server. Okay, with for which ID we are trying. So this user ID, for this user ID only we are trying. So but server will take some time, right? So that you can use a set timeout. Okay, set time. This set timeout expects a callback again, right? So just add a callback method and write your own logic here and just give some delay. So I'm just giving 5000 milliseconds delay, or I think 10,000 is good for observation. 10,000. So here whenever you are passing the user ID and we are trying to fetch the information from the server, it is taking 10 seconds to bring the details. But once you got the details, what you will do? So the details will be like this. Okay, like constant user. Okay, it's a user object. Okay, right now we are not sending a request to the server, but imagine um, we have sent a request to a server. It is within like 10,000 milliseconds we got the response. That is the user object. If you don't get a response, we know, right, we can reject that promise. So user details, so naturally user ID. Okay, whatever the user ID you are passing, just use the same user ID, right? Because we are going to fetch the same user ID details. So here I'm writing just hard coding. Okay, these are the real values. So you're writing svgie dot naren at the rate so gmail.com. Fantastic. And even you can pass, you can return username also. Okay, the username like naren. So if you want to follow the camel casing, just give a user ID, user ID, user ID. That will be email. So I hope you are doing practice along with me. So please do practice, otherwise you can't remember, even you can't understand. So fine. So then if we got the user details, some I'm writing here. If we have a user means if it is not undefined, if it is not undefined or um, okay, you can check the user ID. So if you pass the user ID, that is enough for me. I will return. Okay. So I will construct this one. Okay, you can put outside also. If it is user ID, okay, let me add in the same place because we got the user details. So simply if the user detail, if you got the proper user details, if it is not undefined from the server, happily resolve it. Okay, resolve and just pass the result. What is the result? That is the user details, right? User object. Okay, if it suppose if you didn't get the result from the server, okay, this is fetching user details from the server, right? Suppose in case if you didn't get the result, if this object is undefined at the time, just reject it, reject and give an error message. So for now we can give a something went wrong. So the semicolons are not important, not needed, because we are just using one line. If you put, no problem. Okay, something went wrong. Okay, fantastic. So if you see, this is a simple, to understand, we just created a promise object, and we are on top of that promise object we are calling the then and catch. Here also same, but we just wrap this promise inside a function so that it is going to be more readable, and this is perfect. Okay, this is a real-time code. So fine. Now how to use this? Okay, here this is the promise object, you're calling like this. So here you're calling the promise object, right? So but the get user, what is the syntax for the get user? Simple, get user and pass the user ID. Suppose I'm just passing 101. That's fine. So what it is doing? So if you call the get user, it is returning a promise, right? It is returning the promise. It is returning the promise. Okay. So that means the result of this get user is a promise. So if you want, you can store in the promise object too, like that. Then you can apply, okay, same thing like this, promise object to, okay. So but now if you see, anyway it is returning the promise object, okay, and you are storing in a promise object too, and after that you are applying then and catch on top of that promise object. So other than this, you can apply directly then and catch here also, because it is returning the promise object, and if you put then and catch here, that is also same. Got it my point? So if you see, this get user returning the promise object, and for that promise object have a method then and catch to get the results or to get the error details. So here also you can rewrite the code like this. Okay, this is also correct, not a problem, but you can write in a better way. Here just put 101, okay, directly, and then attach this there and catch directly to that method itself, because it will return a promise only, right? So if you see how beautiful is this, boom. Okay, got it now. So far, so now I'm just commenting this one. Okay, I will move this logic to the bottom so that you can understand easier. So in the last example, that is we are returning into the promise object and we are applying then and catch. But now this is more fantastic. So if you see, just you don't need to worry about what is there inside that get user function. Okay, it will send a request to the server, it will bring the details, and it will return a new promise. And that promise, okay, we can use the promise methods here, and we can get the result. So if you see, this is going to be fantastic. So now just refresh the code. I will fix it. Reference user ID is not defined. Okay, maybe definitely some, what we can say, user ID is not defined. This is a get user. We are passing 101. This is 101. Okay, here the spelling mistake, because JavaScript is case sensitive. So please don't do those mistakes like me. Just refresh. Okay, fetching user details from the server 101. We don't know how much time. Of course, we have given 10,000 millisecond, but in real time, we don't know how much time it will take. But after that, yes, we got the result. User ID 101, email ID, and username Naren. Okay, normally, if you in the real time, this 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 will be available from the server side team. They will provide all the promises through the REST APIs. Only our responsibility is just call that REST API method and pass the user ID. Right now, if you pass 101, you will get the user details of the 101. If you pass 102, it will return 102 details. Okay, but right now we just hard coded. Even if you give 102 also, it will return the same result. But suppose something went wrong, something went wrong. Suppose if you don't have these details, if you don't have these details, what will happen? What will happen? Suppose this is undefined, you didn't get any result. So if it is constant, it will expect the value at initialization time only, so that I'm just using a let. So if you see, if you don't have a value, it will throw an error. It will also works fine. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. No, yes. Okay, something went wrong. Okay, got it now? I hope. Please do practice, and in the next video we are going to enter. Of course, it's better to take a let, because mm, okay, even something went wrong, it's better to store that value. We can change the value later for better understanding purpose. Have you have done right? So far, we have done only task one, right? Okay, task one, we have created a function. It is returning a promise. We are handling properly. For in the next session, we are going to take task two. Okay, task two, and we are going to return the result of this task one to the task two, and this task two also return a new promise, and then it will return the result, and that result we are going to pass it to the task 3, and then task 3 will return the result, and that result we are going to pass it to the task 4 and get the final result. Okay, at least we can cover this promise chain, 50% tomorrow and 50% in the last video, and a lot of interesting things are there. So I hope you guys understood, And the important thing is you need to do a practice and revise. Okay, revision is also very important. So naturally we will forget these things, and very soon we are going to do a projects also. Okay, that's all for today, and in the next video we are going to talk about the promise chain. Bye bye.